Hi everyone, I'm Gina I, and I'm a licensed therapist who got fed up with therapy. This is a one-woman show about my journey of finding the spaces between non-traditional approaches of healing. What I learned is that there's no one right way to heal, and you truly are your best resource. Therapists and healers are meant to support you on your path, but they don't have all of the answers. You do. This show is about the spaces between laughter, tears, thoughts, ego, soul, messy growth, and moments of joy. It's about personal liberation, inner knowing, and the tools that get you there. I will cover topics that make many of us uncomfortable and interviewing people who are willing to go there. I've spent thousands of hours listening to human beings navigate their life story, from rehabs in Malibu to homeless shelters in East LA, and now my private practice. It has been some of the most profound, painful, and beautiful moments in my life. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's guest is Laura Rubin. She is a dear friend of mine, and she is also fueled by the understanding that everyone alive has a unique and creative voice. Laura launched AllSwell 7 years ago with the purpose of educating people about the wide-ranging, meaningful benefits of journaling. She introduced the brand to encourage analog expression and grew it to include original live and immersive digital workshops. Rubin's mission is big, helping people wake up to their own voice, personal path, and radical self-worth through creativity. Laura and I sit down to discuss how everyone, regardless of age or gender, can benefit from journaling on a mental, emotional, and physiological level. That journaling is a multifaceted and creative space for processing, healing, and gaining deeper insight into yourself. Laura and I take a deep dive into her personal healing practices over the years, which she quotes, "You can shake a rattle at me, Gina. I have tried them all, but you learn that there is no silver bullet. You create a menu of things that you choose from and whatever works for you." Currently on her menu is microdosing psilocybin, writing, a great coach, and lots of time in nature. She discusses the wisdom and perspective gained from battling breast cancer in the past, and in the most recent year of 2020, unhooking from the toxic cycle of capitalism. That somehow always being productive and achieving more would somehow make for a more fulfilling and meaningful life. What she has learned is quite the opposite in this radical slowdown that started in 2020, which she wants to continue into 2021 for herself. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Hi, friends. I am super excited to introduce my guest today, Miss Laura Rubin of AllSwell, because I think of Laura as the journaling queen. And I have had the pleasure of taking her workshop. We were actually on a surf retreat in Panama. And I was really first to witness to the magic and the vulnerability and honesty of what unfolded in that workshop. So the second thing that I would like to say is journaling is so near and dear to my heart. And anybody that listens to Spaces Between knows that I journal every day. And it's something that I prescribe my clients. And really, I think has gotten so many people through 2020 and now into the very interesting 2021. So I, Laura, would just love you to talk about your relationship to journaling and on a personal level, why you think it's so profound for people to do, and we can later merge that just into the practice of creativity and why that's also important.
All my favorite subjects.
Yay.
Gina, thank you so much for inviting me into the space, for creating this space for vulnerable, open dialogues. I love that you're sharing your gifts and your talent this way too. I'm a big fan. And when I saw that you were starting to do this, I did a happy dance. I was like, yes, thank goodness, thank goodness. So journaling has always really been a part of my life. I was given my first journal as a young girl by a family friend. I was 8 years old. So I've been journaling since I was a single digit, and really has always been something that I've used as a way to find my own compass points again and to tune into my own innate voice. And I recognize that there's a lot of associations with journaling with sort of like teen girl angst. And that really is doing such a disservice to journaling as a whole, because it is this incredibly potent, empirically proven modality to improve mental, emotional, and physiological well-being. And beyond that, it's just such an incredible tool for stoking creativity, for creating vision, and so much more. So really, I began AllSwell as a way to dispel some of that PR problem that journaling had. And it's been an incredible, wonderful journey.
Yes. I mean, absolutely. Piggybacking off of the teenage angst. I had one client. He was a male. He was a bit older and a CEO, big business guy. And I had asked him, I think journaling would really be a wonderful gift for you to process. And he goes, Gina, I am not going to journal. That's for teenage girls, essentially. And what would I write in a journal? And I would actually like to ask you, because I've even had some of my friends say to me, I don't know what to do. I don't know, sit down and like what, just my feelings or what my day has been, the matcha that I just frothed. Or that's just Laura and I frothing our matchas.
Frothing away.
Yeah.
Ladies.
Yes.
Froth for waves, froth or matcha. That particular gentleman and his perspective is not something I'm unfamiliar with, right? But what's sort of incredible is that when I started AllSwell, I guess it was 7 years ago, and I told people that I was starting this journaling business. And at the time, I had like a full tilt marketing and communications agency. And like, that was like a profound source of my identity and self-worth. And then when I started shifting to this thing and people were like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I have a journaling company. They're like, what? It's like cute, I guess, and random, right? So that was it. I definitely took like a little bit of an ego hit there for a couple of years as I made the adjustment. But what I have found is that the zeitgeist is very much swung in my direction. So let's call him Mr. CEO, right? Yeah. So Mr. CEO's perspective was the prevailing perspective at the time that I started this business. And what I've seen now is, like the entrepreneurial Bible, Fast Company has been writing about journaling. Yeah. All of these like leaders in business have started coming out about how journaling is a big part of their practice. The HBR, the Harvard Business Review, is writing about like really utilizing journaling as part of your leadership tools. And it's just really gratifying to see this cultural shift. And, additionally, UCLA came out with a study, I believe it was in 2016, and all the benefits of journaling, mental, emotional, physiological, goes on and on and on, right? They are 40% greater for men. 40%. I mean, that's a pretty significant delta. Wow. So Mr. CEO going, what am I going to write in there? Right. It is exactly those kinds of attitudes that make it so necessary for men to put pen to paper. So whoever's listening, if you love a guy, could be your brother, could be your partner, could be your boss, could be somebody that works for you, you work with, buy them a notebook. Yeah. Buy them a notebook because it's going to be really good for them. Yeah. And I'm going to take a breath, Gina, and let you answer.
No, because everything you said, journaling is not gender or age specific. It's just really, and who doesn't want a space to just dump and process. And for myself personally, the level of insights that come from, and I know you and I have had funny moments about looking at past journals because you're like, what? No. Yeah, you're like, okay, Gina, why are you trudging up the past? But to see my growth, to see the insights, to go, ooh, that's still a stuck point. Like that's something that I'm still working on. And I wouldn't have that if I didn't have this analog written. And there's also something, and I'm sure, and you can or cannot speak to this, but just the kinetic process of writing and being off of a screen and, that energy flowing through your body out of your hand. And there's really, I've just had times in my life, being sick this year, this, I've already talked about it a lot on this podcast, but journaling is really what got me through. It was, meditation was one of them and going into silence, but writing and really, and the grounding exercise. So again, I guess just saying it is not gender specific. It's just healing and therapeutic for everybody.
Agreed. And it's beyond gender specific. It's actually more beneficial for men.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So, and interestingly, when you think about, well, okay, why would that be, right? That there is this cultural bias for women that we have this permission to be vulnerable with each other, to be vulnerable within the sisterhood, right? Doesn't matter like how embarrassing a day I had. Like I've got a couple of my friends on speed dial and we can have a good laugh about it, right? As opposed to men where they have this hero complex that has been imposed upon them where they are not allowed to be vulnerable or leak any like show of concern. And that's totally ridiculous, A, and B, it's not healthy. And so that's why a journal is so much more helpful for men because they actually have a place to release some of this stuck emotion and concern. And releasing is, as you know, part of the therapeutic process, right?
Releasing is everything. A good cry, a good surf, you go out in the water and you're pent up with so much, whatever it is, anxiety, anger, a journal, releasing and not necessarily always releasing your energy onto other people is also, I think, a skill that a lot of people need to learn. If someone has the privilege to afford a therapist and express and release in that way, that's beautiful. But I think that's also what is so incredible about journaling is you don't need to have money and you can just have that space that, okay, this is mine, this is sacred, and I'm just going to dump and go. Yeah.
Yes. Two things. One, I love that this modality is available anywhere, anytime. The barrier to entry is as much as a few sheets of paper and a pen. And you don't need a special outfit. You don't need a special beverage or a class. If you want to take one with me, that's great. But you don't need to, and if you want to use an AllSwell notebook, that's great. But really, from my perspective, I just want you to do it. Whatever that looks like, whatever vehicle works for you, I just invite you to the page. And the other thing is this concept of the purge, right? And that is an enormously useful way to take advantage of your journal. But it really is only just one tool in the toolkit. And that's one of the things that I try to instill and teach in all of my the content that I put out and the workshops that I provide, that some people only associate journaling with that kind of that release. And for some people that actually doesn't feel really good and they don't want to do that. And for others, like that means that they'll journal only during times of hardship, but then it falls off because they're like, well, no, I'm good. I but actually journaling can do so much more for you. And it's a matter of utilizing like different muscle groups and knowing how to use this tool, this simple blank notebook. It can do so much more for you than just having a place to sort of get rid of negative emotion.
Yeah.
Which is worthy. Totally worthy. But it's only one way to use it.
Oh, you can also use it as a space of kind of structuring, whether it's goals and dreams or what are your gratitudes or taking pieces of writing that inspire you, and then, kind of free writing or doing unconscious writing off of somebody else's creative space. I think there's so many ways to go about it, and it doesn't have to just be the release or the dump. I love that you brought that up. It's more multi-dimensional. And I think, as you said, that's where it gets its kind of pitfall of, oh, it's for teenage angsty girls because it's just this release versus, no, I mean, again, as I said, how I start my day is I may not have much to release. I may not have a lot of, intense stuff going on, but just that process. And again, who is it? It's Julia Cameron, who she speaks of in The Artist's Way, right? One of the greatest ways to get clear in your day, even if you don't have stuff going on, is just start your day with writing, and then start also with the 3 gratitudes and the why. Not just, oh, I'm grateful, blah, 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 but and why. And that can be part of your journaling process.
And so I just did a little video this morning for folks because I realized I had a one-to-one coaching session yesterday with a client, and we were talking about her gratitude practice. And it's something that I've heard from a few different people, and I wanted to address it, that this, if you have a gratitude practice, sometimes it gets a little stagnant because people kind of have like their greatest hits that they're grateful for, and they just repeat them. And then they're kind of like, well, yeah, I'm grateful for like my health and my mom's health and I have a roof over my head and my kid, And my recommendation is, like, if you're feeling kind of stuck in a rut with your gratitude practice, just like write down the usual suspects and park them. If you don't write down that you're grateful for your grandmother every time you do this, you're not putting a hex on grandma, right? Like, it's okay, grandma's going to be all right, but it is important for you to like bring some creativity and some fresh energy to the experience of being grateful as a way for it to actually have any positive effect on your brain.
Yeah.
Which is the whole point of doing it.
Love that you brought that up. The gratitude practice is also multi-layered and dimensional. And I think, a lot of people also believe that it's only, okay, let me be grateful for my house or the food in my fridge. And that is all. We should be grateful for those things if we have them.
Yes.
But also part of a gratitude practice can be what have been some kind of daunting or large lessons in life. I am grateful for X, Y, and Z, which were not necessarily easy things to get through or comfortable. And this, interestingly enough, I feel like I'm going to segue into you in a more personal way. Because I know in the past.
Oh boy. Here we go,
you guys.
Special.
Into the meat, people. Okay, so Laura, you've gone through a lot in your life, and you and we did a really beautiful and intense workshop together, and I learned a lot about you, and it was beautiful to see that. I also know that you battled having breast cancer, and you've gone through some major spaces of, one would say, suffering and discomfort. And again, to pull it back to the gratitude, a lot of people may go, how could you be grateful for those things? And I would just like you to talk about, because your healing journey, what's been part of your healing journey, and I'll let you rip.
I mean, wow, there's a lot there, I'd say that in retrospect, which is really where we have the greatest capacity for appreciation and understanding, those things that have been most difficult were the times that I gained the most wisdom and strength, right? But it wasn't during those times where I was cognitively aware, like, wow, I'm getting stronger because of this horrible experience. It's only in hindsight. That said, it's also one of the beautiful things about getting older that I really, really enjoy. And in this culture, there's, a massive obsession with youth, and I get it. Young people are really pretty. But the thing that isn't really talked about and is not fully appreciated, or at least wasn't discussed with me, I didn't see any of these mirrors, is that as you get older, you actually know some stuff, like a bunch of stuff, and you only learn that because you experience things. And so now you have perspective to see patterns emerge, and you can say like, oh, right, okay, this bad, difficult thing is happening, but it is probably happening for me in ways that I may not be able to intuit or cognitively be aware of right now, but they will become revealed to me because I will continue to do the work. So have faith, stay strong, be good to yourself, and keep going. But when you're young, you don't know any of that stuff.
No.
You just think it's horrible.
Yeah.
And you don't understand why it's happening.
Yeah.
There is no why. It's just really hard. So I think that part of my healing process certainly has been learning to appreciate myself and learning to even like the really weird, uncomfortable, crunchy bits that you don't really want to look at that much. Like, nope, that's part of me too. Claiming her also. Yeah. That's been a big part of my healing journey.
Okay. So what I'm hearing from you is really perspective, the integration of all parts, and also the beauty and the wisdom of growing older, being able to have the perspective and insight that you wouldn't as a younger woman.
Yeah, girl, I'm deep into my 40s now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a kid anymore.
Yeah.
And it's disorienting, but not without its total lovely qualities. And I really do feel like it's important to talk about those.
Yeah.
So women and men have it to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, I was even thinking the other day, 39 feels good. It feels really, it just is. I know myself on such a deep level. And from me knowing you, you are someone who you know yourself, and there's so much depth and wisdom, and that comes through life and hardships and all of the things that we have to work through. And it's beautiful. You know, I would not trade in my 39-year-old self for my 22-year-old self.
Oh, God, no. Oh, God, no. I mean, I didn't even know my own name.
Right?
Like the fact that somebody gave me a job and like respond. I mean, I am shocked. And like, I didn't have little jobs either. I was like responsible for things. It's shocking to me that anybody trusted me with anything until I was at least like 35. I guess.
Yeah. And it's not to say to any of you younger, women or men listening in the audience, but it is a beautiful thing as you age and with time, and again, just that depth and wisdom. I don't want to beat that down.
There are other gifts that come with youth that are beautiful and amazing, and they are celebrated, and they are fantastic. Revel in them, enjoy all of them. They're great.
Yes.
My point is that it's not the only good stuff. There's other good stuff.
Yes.
And it'll come.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So segueing into a kind of, or I guess picking up from that question a bit, what do you think on your journey, Laura, has been as far as modalities, tools, plant medicine, therapy? This is a big question because...
Oh, girl, I've done it all, right? Like, shake a rattle at me. I'm on board, like, what haven't I done? But, like, I have, through trial and error and checking into myself, and again, one of the ways that I check into myself is through the act of putting pen to paper and to really come in contact with, like, well, did that really work out for me? Like, was that healing, or was that just confronting? Was that just... like, what have I gotten from that? Or, were we just doing like some cultural appropriation there together with a bunch of people, like looking for what really works and for me. And so I certainly have found a few things that have been tremendously helpful. I don't think there's any silver bullet. My perspective is that you have to have sort of like your menu of things that you do on a regular basis. And some of them are, for me, really simple, right? I need to exercise consistently. I need time in nature. I need to have beauty around me. And I'm not talking about like Versailles. I just need to have like a beautiful, a space that I find beautiful in which to operate and live. And those are some of the things that ground me.
Yeah.
And as far as some of the modalities, and of course I need to write and I need community.
Yeah.
But as far as some of the modalities, I mean, we've talked about this, microdosing psilocybin has been really helpful and really wonderful for me. Now, I'm not saying it's for everybody. Yeah. I'm saying that for me, it's wonderful. And I've tried a bunch of other stuff, like, the ayahuasca experiences, not for me. And I have a lot to say about that, but we don't have to do that here. But as far as, having a whole bunch of different resources that I tap into, that is one of them. Another one is I have an amazing coach, somebody who I have a tremendous amount of respect for and great rapport with. And even though I'm a coach, like creativity coach, not a life coach, I have somebody that I go to the same way most therapists have therapists, right? And I'm not supposed to have all the answers for everybody and myself, right? And I need people that I can lean on as well.
Hi, friends. I just wanted to take a quick break and thank you for tuning in. I love making this podcast for you, and I hope you love listening. If you do, the best way to show it is leaving a review, especially on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much in advance, and now back to the show. I really love that you brought up a few things, which were that you really have to find your daily practice. And I speak about this in an episode before, but it's so true. If there's anything that I've seen on even, I don't like to use the word clinical level, but let's just use it for the sake of it as a therapist, when my clients who I really see the most healing and the most growth it's consistency. And that consistency can be with meditation, gratitude practice, being in nature, whatever it is, for somebody, it might be ice skating, but that thing that brings you joy, maybe brings you out of your cerebral space, but that lights up your spirit. So I love that you brought that up because I really believe in the consistency. And then also the microdosing of psilocybin, because I know there's a lot of opinions about that. And, but I, as a therapist, fully support it. I've seen, and this is not for me to go on and be anti-psychotropics. I've helped some of my clients, get on meds if they need to. But can you talk about what were some of the differences that you noticed when you started microdosing?
Sure. For me, I wanted to increase my connection to my own creativity and nature. And I felt like I was doing well, but I could do better. And that I also wanted to be more supported in order to be able to do deeper work. And those were the reasons why I really reached out to and embrace this idea of microdosing in my own life. And it has provided all those things for me and more. And, I'm a total drug lightweight and I take the tiniest amount, but that's what works for me. And I check in with myself about it and have, in a dialogue utilizing my own intuition around it. And it's been a really great ally for me.
Amazing. And I guess I also want to make a side note to anybody listening. This isn't necessarily, us promoting, go out and take psilocybin, not guided. It's also good to there's something called MAPS, which is you can get a clinician to guide you in the microdosing process or to go through a journey with psilocybin. So I want to be really clear with that because I think, again, beautiful share, Laura, but I want to be, responsible as a therapist. That people don't go, okay, this is what I'm going to go, but it is beautiful.
This is very potent medicine and it needs to be treated with respect.
Yes.
Like you need to treat yourself with respect in relation to your experience with it.
Yeah.
And I heartily agree. And part of one of the things that really concerns me, and maybe it's just like being in California and you're like everybody's taking everything right now. And you're like, what are you doing? And like, it just feels like it's trendy. And I don't, maybe, look, I I wasn't around, as an adult in the 80s, but it feels like people are talking about this like psychotropic substances, like they were, like, I imagine, like they were doing cocaine in the 80s or something. It's like, no. This is not a party drug.
It's medicinal.
This is medicine.
It's medicine. It's medicine. And it's to be respected because it's incredibly powerful. And thank you for bringing that also to light. It is medicine, and it's really, but I'm so glad that you have found that it really works for you. So, yeah. So moving into some other questions that I have for you, Miss Laura Rubin. What was that?
More the prosciutto, more the meat.
Oh boy. I wanted to go back. I want to go back just for a moment to your workshops. And, because I find as a therapist, sometimes working with my clients, it's like a mirror. Somebody will be sharing something and I go, oof, it just cracks me open. And have you had moments in your workshops where you've had somebody share something or even you've witnessed some magic unfold that really stick out in your mind of what went down?
The magic is profound.
Mm-hmm.
I really consider myself a container for it. I'm not the guru. It is bringing people to their own wisdom and their own voice. And I just sit back in awe of the work that they do, and like the joy, the beauty, the knowledge, the extraordinary insights that come to the surface. And I'm just sitting there going, wow, this is so cool. This is so cool. But it's interesting. What occurs to me is not so much that I've heard or seen somebody say something or express something where I'm like, oh yeah, oh my gosh, that was exactly what I needed. More like what I have found, and particularly through the coaching, because I'm fortunate to work with a whole bunch of different people at different stages of their life in creative work, right? And people really do the work that they need to do for themselves, right? And so it's amazing to see, like, when somebody's writing about something or like whatever the subject matter is, whatever it is that they are talking about, and like the conversation that they're propagating or the work that they're doing, it's so like 99 out of 100 times the work that they need to be doing internally. Mm-hmm. And it's just a different way of getting at it. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if I'm articulating that super well, but my experience is that the work that I am propagating for others is the work I do for myself as well. When I stop doing it and I lead a workshop, if I fall off the wagon and lead a workshop, I'm like, oh yeah, girl, you really need to be doing that. Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, you scrolled on your phone this morning instead of doing your, no. Mm-hmm. So it brings me back.
Okay.
And reminds me, like, you know what to do.
Yeah.
That's right. You know what to do.
You know what to do. Yeah. Okay. Oh no, beautifully answered. That is the mirror, right? Which is, reminder, get back on the horse. Do the things that you really need to do to nurture your mind, body, spirit, heart, all of the things. And a lot of times, and similarly, clients will, go on their journeys, whether they fall on or off meditation or maybe partying a little bit too much and all of these things. And it's just this very reflective process of, we're human, we're imperfect, we're never going to do all of these things all the time. But it's that reminder when we're sitting with other humans, oh yeah, I need this. I need to share my story, or I need to write. And did I follow that correctly?
Completely.
Okay.
And there's this other piece too that I now am fortunate and that I get to bear witness to in supporting people in their own creative process around their own entrepreneurial businesses or writing their books or articles or whatever. Like, this incredible woman is doing this work around like water and grief. Well, she's informed by the loss of her husband. I have another amazing client who's focused on helping BIPOC entrepreneurs like claim their, well, yeah, that's who he is, right? So it's just really amazing that people are taking their own experiences and then bringing it into the world and making that knowledgeable and that knowledge and available, that is, those experiences available to others.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, Jonas and I this morning, we were talking about just podcasts, even in general, the storytelling and the conversations. And what I said to him, which maybe this is a bold statement, but I feel that it's going to evolve consciousness because people are, and some of it can be a little bit dangerous because it's totally unfiltered content and information going out there, but it's also people telling these really rich, truthful stories. And I'm sure, are you familiar with Dr. Zach Bush? He's a real thing right now, right? Yeah.
He's having a moment.
Yeah, he's having a moment. And, and Jonas and I will, what was that?
Yes.
Say that one more time, Laura.
Deservedly so.
Yeah.
I don't mean to sound glib at all.
Oh, no, I didn't take it as such. But it's just so interesting, the fabric of these conversations, and whether it's in your workshops or in one-to-one coaching or podcasting, it's really weaving into the larger consciousness. And I think it's the direction we're headed. And truth.
Gina, you've heard me say this before. Stories are medicine.
Yeah.
And that is such an ancient experience. And this medium makes it possible for more people to sit around the fire with you.
Yeah.
Because that's really what it is. And so I'm grateful that this medium exists for conversations. And yes, with everything, there's going to be an element of danger. Yes. But that was true of, people said that about the printing press. And I do believe that this popularity in the podcasting world is people hungering for that experience of sitting around the fire.
Yeah. I just so wholeheartedly agree with you. And it's, other podcasters, they're nutrients for my soul. I mean, listening to some people and their stories, or even, again, Jonas and I joke when we're eating certain food, we're like, what would Rich Roll and Zach Bush say? This is a horrible plate of food, and it's ridiculous, but it's also, it's impactful. And that's such a kind of silly example, but also, Zach Bush, though.
We're not food shaming each other.
Yeah, we're just food shaming, like, what? You're going to eat that pizza again? Come on, Jonas. But again, the idea, though, of what you choose to put on your plate and the impact of that on the environment and on your body and the interconnection of everything. And I think somebody like Zach Bush, he's gaining so much popularity because he's really bringing to light, hey, let's take some energy away from big businesses and start farming in our backyards, and how that's going to shift the environment. It's going to shift the energy of where we put our money. It's big.
This shifts also, right, in terms of like having a relationship to the soil and the seasons, and actually being present to your physical environment and all of the experience of actually like having your hands in the dirt and what that does for you physiologically. As surfers, we know what it means to be immersed in nature, to have that immersive experience in the water and the ocean. But, there's also so much nutrition and wisdom to be gained by spending time in the dirt.
Yeah.
That's a really important piece of the whole experience.
Yes. So Rich Roll and Zach Bush, thank you so much. I'm not plugging you in my podcast, but seriously. Okay. So
Alice Waters too, right? Who started Edible School.
Yeah.
It's not just the dudes, right?
Oh, it's not just the dudes. Let's be clear. Let's be very clear about that. Yes.
Look what Lex Weinstein is doing with Sea and Soil. There's so many amazing people out there doing beautiful work right now.
Oh, 100%. Yes. Okay, now I'm going to, I was going to ask you about, it feels like I shouldn't go into this is a big one. Because it is 2021. But there are a lot of things that are merging from 2020 into 2021, right? The political unrest, global warming, all the things. For your all the things. For yourself on a personal level, what did you learn the most in 2020? And also, what are you shifting or intentions that you're setting for yourself for 2021?
I am so glad you asked me this question.
Okay.
So I was raised with good, strong immigrant work ethic on the East Coast. And the more I worked, the better I thought I was doing. And achieve. And you're a good soldier. That's what you do. Now, this year, I had to actually slow down for the first time in my adult life. No meetings, no planes, nothing. And it was all self-generated work, but I actually had a little bit of time to breathe and take a nap and experience things in a way that was completely foreign to me. And what has been revealed to me in the process is essentially that addiction to productivity is instilled in us. Mm-hmm. It's really deep wiring because it is part of our capitalist culture. So what I realized this year is that the thing that I was most proud of, right? This like put the big girl pants on and I cowgirl up, I get it done. I am so busy. It's a badge of honor. I'm so productive. Actually, I realized, no, that's just me being a cog in capitalism.
Right.
And thank you. That's where that programming comes. It's not actually for me and what's best for me and the development of my soul or the planet or my community. It is really just to propel the capitalist machine. Mm-hmm. So that's what I learned last year.
It's a massive lesson.
Oh, yeah.
It's a massive lesson. And I think all of us, if we were really tuning in to 2020, it was to slow the F down.
Yeah, it was a big slowdown.
It was a huge slowdown. And to look at how we're impacting one another. What are the choices that we're making for ourselves? How are we living life? I remember you even said to me last year, and I thought it was hysterical. You were like, Gina, how do you surf and go on, not how do you surf, but how do you go on the level of surf trips? And I was like, Laura, you got to weave it in, right? Like you got to, and I'm not meaning to sound like an a-hole when I say that. But I even,
you prioritize it, Gina.
Yeah. But even myself, getting sick for those 2 months, you can look at my journal and there's consistent, whoa, this is you just needing to slow down and to look at your shit. And so the universe has just given you a fat platter of you're going to sit the fuck down and lay in bed and just contemplate, right? Which happened to, I think, a lot of us in very different ways. It didn't have to be COVID. It was just the slowing down of life.
Great. So I got cancer so many years ago, right? And I'm like, it's going to be as I'm going through treatments, and it's going to be my quiet period where I'm going to read the Russians. That's what I said. Like, I was still like, okay, yeah, I'm going to make this productive. I couldn't finish a People magazine. I was so out of my mind on chemotherapy, right? Mm-hmm. I was just, like, there was no way. But the point is, like, I still brought this ethos of productivity to and it's insane, the programming runs deep.
The programming runs deep. It runs really, really deep. And I think we're all still unlearning it because, a girlfriend of mine and I joked the other day, how is it people in LA still are crazy busy in a pandemic, right? Oh, my schedule and this and that. It's like, what? But it's still here, because we're all still, it's like any neural reprogramming and old trauma. It takes time to reprogram. And capitalism this runs deep in us. So reprogramming this, it's going to take time and it's going to be a constant It's like a meditation practice. Go back to it. Go back to it. Hey, are you just working for more money, more success, more accolades, validation? Or can you pull it in and really think of, no, I actually just want to sit under a tree and stare at that, or go to the beach and do nothing and be nothing, really. Yeah.
Have the space to actually gestate a concept or idea.
Yeah.
Instead of just going from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing, and have the room to let your own voice actually emerge instead of being in respond, react, respond, react, respond, react. Okay. Like that for a lifetime, and particularly now it's like dialed so far up with the digital communications, and we need some space to just tune in and daydream, stare into space, take a nap, do whatever, because you are reclaiming your own attention. You are reclaiming your own energy. You are reclaiming your own time. Oof. And one of the things that I've seen, and I don't know, maybe for you in terms of like your clients, if it's something you've heard as well, is that actually some people are busier because their employers or what have you, they're no longer work-life boundaries.
Yes.
It's like, well, we know you're home.
Yes.
What else are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? And so now people are working around the clock. They are connected to more and more screens. I took January off of doing any public facing digital events because I did not feel that calling people to spend more time on a screen was what best served my community. Mm-hmm. Wow. So I have some private workshops that I'm doing with private groups, and it's totally worthy and fantastic and appropriate. But I just was like, do people really need another Instagram Live in January? I just don't think so. No. And I'm going to take that time and I'm going to put it towards writing and research and other things that I think will benefit my community more. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yes, Laura. And going back to what you were saying, yes, are my clients talking about the excessive, or how do I want to say this? The amplification of work and the boundaries that are being blurred 150%. I would say many people are struggling with that they go, hey, my boss just completely does not know how to shut off. And so I'm supposed to be on all day, every day, but I don't want to lose my job because everybody's so paranoid about not having work, and rightfully so. This is a very, very, very tough time. But yeah, we all have to learn boundaries, and bosses included. So I hope a couple are listening, and for yourself, and really. Yes.
And one of the things that I've been self-employed now for 17 years. And what I used to say is I work for myself, but my boss is a slave driving bitch, right? So like, yes, it can come from outside or it can be self-generated. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And my boss is a lot nicer to me now. Yeah. That is what I learned in 2020. My boss and I, we get along. We'd have a glass of wine.
Yes, you do. Yeah. Oh, I love that, Laura. I want to be mindful of your time. And I'm going to give you some of my rapid fire questions, even though when you texted me and you were like, damn, Gina, some of these are a bit. So here we go. So, and the reason I give them rapid fire, or I want them to be a quicker response, is because somebody could really sit around and ponder and go, but really just like, what's your gut response? So my first is just a very light one, which is, Rihanna or Beyonce?
I like a girl's girl, Beyonce.
Okay, Beyonce. Number 2, why do you think we are on this planet, and why are you on this planet?
We are on this planet to evolve, to grow and become more beautifully full expressions of our own particular spirits. And that is what I am here to do.
All right. Okay, beautiful. What do you think happens after death?
I don't know, Gina. Mm-hmm. I don't. But there's this beautiful Mary Oliver poem that I read sometimes about death, that particularly because I have this workshop about grief, mm-hmm. and I share it with people when they've lost someone. And at the end, she talks about how she can't wait to be the hummingbird. And, I don't think it's just one stop at this party. Wow. I think we come back for more.
Yeah. Ooh, I just got goosebumps with that. Yes. I'd love to come back as a hummingbird.
Or maybe you already were one, sweetheart.
Maybe I have the energy of one.
Yeah. You've got real hummingbird vibes, girl.
Been there, done that. Quick on this. What are the greatest lessons you've learned in life? And it can be, sorry.
God wants to see more love and light in your eyes. Mm-hmm. That is what I wish for everybody.
Yeah.
Suffering is just a path to more love and light.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Wow, Laura. And last one. We've all had somebody in our lives, whether it's a teacher, healer, or could be a friend, that has said something or something that you've read in a book that continues. It can be a slogan to play out in your head that guides you from time to time.
Hafez. Fear is the cheapest room in the house. Mm. I would like to see you living in better conditions.
Double goosebumps, Laura Rubin.
I bring the goose. I bring the bumps. And nothing but a goosebump party over here.
Goosebump party, and she also brings the bubs. Yes, she does. The bubbly.
I do. I am not afraid of a good time.
No, you are not. Thank you so much for gracing.
Thank you for learning your medicine. Thank you for sharing this with your community. It's an honor and a pleasure to be some small part of the magic that you weave. I love you.
Oh, I love you, Laura. And really quickly, before we both go, I just want you to give a little information of where people can find you, if there's anything upcoming that you would like to share, however much you would like to.
Yes. You can find me at allswellcreative.com. That's the website where you can check out all of the information for upcoming workshops and get AllSwell notebooks and also the deck of AllSwell journaling prompts, which is enormously helpful for those people that you mentioned who don't know how to journal or don't know where to start. It's $25. I created it with a psychiatrist, Dr. Monisha Vasa. It is a great and expensive tool for people. And also you can sign up for one-to-one coaching there. That's pretty much. And then, of course, there's at AllSwell Creative. And I try to give away as much content as possible on that channel. So you can hit it up for journaling tips and prompts and all that kind of good stuff.
All right, you guys can go find Laura Rubin. I really hope that you do, because she is magical and just so gifted at what she does. So thank you again, Laura, for joining me. Mwah. I'll see you in the water or in Ojai. And
love you, baby.
Love you, baby. I'll see you later. Bye. Bye. Hi, friends. If you have been enjoying Spaces Between, please take a moment to subscribe, and leaving a review is the cherry on top. Thank you so much, and I look forward to connecting with you next week.